In October of 2021, we headed out to Philadelphia and we picked up this low mileage, rust-free Chevrolet Malibu. It's a 1979 and originally came with a 6-cylinder engine and an automatic transmission. By all means, it was bottom of the line. As you can see, it's been slightly modified as a street strip car, and it's a lot of fun so far. And with the help of my wife, we were able to drive that home from Philadelphia and get it parked in the garage and start thinking about what our future plans are going to be. Tucked underneath the hood is a 455 Oldsmobile engine. It's been stroked. It's got some hot heads on it. Edelbrock Torker intake manifold. A brand new Proform 850 double pumper carburetor. 6AL MSD box with a Blaster 2 coil and a Pro Billet distributor. The day had finally come. After running this combination for a year and a half, we decided to put it up on Facebook Marketplace. We sold the engine and the transmission as a combination, and it was sold within 2 days. So after the nice gentleman from Massachusetts came and picked up the engine and transmission combo, it was back south to Philadelphia to pick up a used LQ9. The engine looked like any typical junkyard LS you find. Caked on oil and crud, abused, high mileage, and in hindsight, I definitely overpaid. The heads were caked with sludge. The pistons showed us that our LQ9 was actually an LQ4. Porcelain was broken off the number 3 plug.
All the main bearings look good, like perfect, aside from this one, which is the front where the dampener rides, and it's got a really big groove in it.
The quick call over to Summit Racing. We had some new speed ports at the house within a couple days. Got a Summit brand camshaft. Model number is 8715R1. This is their Ghost camshaft or Stage 1 turbo camshaft. Specifications look perfect for what we want to do with the car. And it should give us a nice tame idle. New cam plate to match our new cam. Got some Hastings piston rings, standard. Got a Walboro fuel pump, inline. It's exterior, so we can adapt that with our fuel cell. A little exhaust donut for some custom exhaust work. And that's Sammy. Pretty unbelievable what you can order for your custom applications on your vehicle these days. We were able to get a complete standalone wire harness with all factory style connectors for just over $100 shipped to our door. Although the machine shop was going to take care of most of our cleaning, we still had to address the odds and ends. The factory lifters and trays were not going to be usable. And the engine bay needed its share of help as well. We knocked off the old motor mounts that were welded inside the Malibu that were used to shoehorn the 455 into that engine bay. And slowly but surely, things started to come together after hours and hours of cleaning, cutting, and grinding. While we waited for the block, crank, and heads to be finished up at the machine shop, we started to put in some work on the engine bay, priming, cleaning, and painting. After 3 fresh coats of Rust-Oleum and the installation of the motor mounts, we were ready to install the engine once it got back from the machine shop. All 8 pistons were cleaned up. A set of 630 lift double valve springs from BTR were installed. And we picked up an AR5 5-speed manual transmission. Once the block was brought back home from the machine shop, it was time to get to work. We hit it with a fresh coat of Rust-Oleum. It was time to start mocking up the bearings and all the internal components of the bottom end. Cleveite standard bearings for the mains fit perfect, and it really started to look like this project was coming together. Clearances were set with plastic gauge, and the crank rotated over freely and smoothly with no binding. Now that we had the crankshaft buttoned up and we had the clearances on the bearings checked, we were going to go ahead and check the end play. It seemed as if we were in specification, which made me extremely happy. And by this time we were breaking the engine back down and re-cleaning. Once the camshaft was installed, we went ahead and installed the pistons, piston rings, new bearings and rods, and cranked those over as well. And for the first time, we can kind of see this bottom end getting into motion here, and our hard work is paying off, and we're double checking everything, and everything's going smooth. We reused the stock valves. Those were given a fresh lap to mate those against the surface of the 317 heads. Installed the front cover. We even got some goodies while we were out at Carlisle at the Grassroots Motorsports booth. Setting the engine in the car, and we're checking out all the clearances, making sure that the oil pan clears the cross member. The time has finally come. We have to cut the transmission tunnel to accommodate the 5-speed transmission. A lot of worrying involved in measuring, but everything worked out a-okay. Mocking up all the accessories, the intake manifold and the headers. Custom made a shift lever that adapts to our AR5 shifter. So after a little bit of Bondo work on the radiator support and the installation of the new clutch, we can finally start buttoning the engine and the transmission up. We had to cut a hole in the firewall so we can install our clutch and do some slight modifications to the pedal box. Us bleeding the clutch pedal, master and slave cylinders. And believe me, this wasn't a fun task. But as you can see, we've got a little system going there, and finally got it to work. My bore scope into the transmission to make sure that the slave cylinder was doing its job, and from what I could tell, it was working just fine. Following shortly behind the clutch, we began to start working on the exhaust. Really happy with the results of this one. I think it looks really good. Coil packs, spark plug wires, intake, coolant hoses, all being fitted, cinched up tight. And we're about to get ready to fire this thing up for the first time, which I have to be honest, I was terrified to do. And with that, a quick test of the drive-by-wire system that was wired into our ECU and our new drive-by-wire pedal. And a small amount of wiring to get our crucial gauges installed into this nice, tidy glow shift gauge pod. And we have oil pressure, temperature, and air-fuel ratio. Okay, about to go for the first fire up. Noah's gonna be inside watching the oil pressure. And I'm gonna be outside checking everything under the hood for leaks. All right, Noah, half key. Okay, fuel pressure, purge the system. All right, Noah, crank it. How's the pressure?
It's good.
Yo, that was first crack.
Oh. Yo, again?
Yeah. After bleeding the brakes and looking over the car, including the drive shaft, checking for any fuel leaks, which we had a few, it was time to fire it back up and test the clutch and the transmission with the vehicle on jack stands. Once the clutch and drivetrain were checked out, it was time for one last look over on the engine bay before we took it out for its first test drive. So as nervous and apprehensive as I was to take the car out on its first test drive, it was extremely exciting. I loved the way it sounded, I loved the way it performed, and extremely rewarding experience. But I thank you guys for hanging in there and watching the video. If you've made it this far, if you have any questions or want to leave any comments, please do so in the comments below, and give me a thumbs up if you liked it. We'll have more videos of this car in the future on the channel, as well as some new stuff coming out. So stick with us, and we'll see you guys next time.